So what can we say about this landmark study sponsored by the German government over 10 years in 8 to 10 countries? Many hundreds of holes drilled with pinpoint accuracy at the bidding of dowsers. Proven to be 96% and even 98% accurate frequently. Well, it proves one big thing, as they say in the study. Dowsing is resoundingly proven as a real scientific material fact. Have you got that? Dowsing is proven as a scientific materialist fact. And the other conclusion is not going to be liked by a lot of people. That is, it demolishes James Randi's contention. It demolishes James Randi, in fact, who has spent 40 years vociferously denying that dowsing has any validity. He was caught even in the 1960s in a black and white documentary Cheating by Arthur C. Clarke, the science luminary. He had a look at the same data that James Randi did and said a positive signal came out of the numbers proving that dowsing for water worked, significantly above chance, whereas James Randi decided it was a load of cobblers as usual, like he's been doing for 40 years. So the German landmark study demolishes James Randi's standing, his lifelong attempts to do a snow job on ordinary people and tell them that it's mere superstition, that it's just idiomotor response coupled with self-delusion, is utter hogwash, proven by a landmark German government-sponsored study, peer-reviewed at Stanford University. Okay, have you got that? Peer-reviewed by, it's withstood peer review at Stanford University. That is big stuff. Stuff to beat your chest about. Okay? Demolishing James Randi in the process. Which raises the question, why has James Randi spent most of his adult life, some 40 years, possibly even longer, vociferously denying true scientific physical fact? Why has he been a denialist all these times and passing his denialism on to you, his devotees, his followers? Why has he done this all of his life? If you made James Randi one of the leading lights of your life, and millions of his followers have, then you have brought into your life one of the greatest con men of modern times, and this has just been proven by the German government study that proves dowsing is absolutely real and a very productive, material, physical thing to do. So you've really got off the rails there following James Randi. He's been the Pied Piper that's led you away from scientific truth in a big way. So if you're one of the many devotees of James Randi, there's really nothing wrong with admiring a public figure, but he's turning out to be more than just a rogue. He's turning out to be a major con man of some proportion in modern history. He's certainly committed a con job in your life if you're a Randi devotee. And what's he done? He's succeeded in telling you something majorly wrong for 40 years and you've believed it. Now his plan is to reduce your life to the bleakest possible battery hen existence, intellectually caged with the smallest amount of intellectual freedom possible. He's been telling you all this time that dowsing isn't real, it's mere superstition, blah blah blah, and you've listened to it. You've accepted it, and he's one of the greatest con men of all time now, proven by the German government-sponsored study, peer-reviewed at Stanford University. You might love Randi for a whole lot of emotional reasons, and there's nothing wrong with that. He cuts a kind of admirable figure on the stage, a heroic person battling the figures of darkness, etc. But really, he's conned you all the way down the river, I'm afraid, and he's got you leading the bleakest, most black and white, most skeletal existence possible. He's put you in an intellectual cage, and like a canary, you have sung his praises. You love him, but I question someone doing that to you, does he love you the way you love him? Is the affection returned? Quite the opposite. He's made you an intellectual prisoner for the last 40 years, and that's a pretty serious thing for a leading figure to do in the public eye. A more fascinating question is, why would James Randi devote his entire adult life to putting you in an intellectual cage? All his devoted followers telling you that dowsing is a load of hogwash when it's scientifically proven to be true. Well, maybe he's paid, maybe he's working for Big Pharma and other corporate interests that want you to lead a simple materialist life so that you consume the most. The object of all the corporatocracies around you, the big corporations, is that you be obedient, you be silent, but you consume as much as possible before you die. That's the most important thing. And a materialist outlook suits their agenda most. The materialist agenda pursued by James Randi hides something from you. Basically, behind dowsing, there's quite a few wonderful discoveries to be made personally that nobody else can horn in on. No one else can get involved in your personal discoveries you can make with dowsing rods, dowsing pendulums, etc. Now that you know it's scientifically established that it does exist and that it does work with sometimes 95, 96, 98% accuracy, you might even venture to have a go yourself with a couple of chopped up coat hangers, welding rods, 4mm copper or brass rods from a hardware store, just bend them into shape. And I taught myself dowsing in some 30 minutes. Rudimentary dowsing, that is, crossing over a line and getting a signal from the rods, you see. To me it was just a party game. I didn't take it seriously. It was nothing heavy for me. 1 week later I was able to lock myself in a bathroom and have a friend hide an object in the house. I came out of the bathroom, located the object in 35 seconds. I had no idea where it was. Once I had repeated this a number of times, I knew years ago that dowsing worked. This is an experiment you can do yourself. There's plenty of books on dowsing, plenty of videos on it, and you just play around at home and work with someone else. Work with someone else as well. To keep two heads are always better than one doing this, okay? I'll tell you some exciting things about dowsing, which is now established, and it goes like this. Ancient hunters could follow a deer through a forest, even though it's out of sight, using a dowsing pendulum, which is simply a little rock or something suspended on a cord, a cotton or something, right? Or a rod in the form of a stick. A hunter could also find water when he's desperately needing it during a day's hunting. So dowsing has distinct survival properties. It's clearly built into us. And now, for the big thing about dowsing, you have never seen an animal do it. You have never seen an animal like a gorilla, chimpanzee, an elephant do dowsing with a stick or a rod or a pendulum. That is the huge difference between man and animals. And this is what James Randi didn't want you to find out. James Randi has spent 40 years working very hard and very diligently, and he's fooled all of you into thinking that you're just an animal, like an ape. Whereas in fact you can do something that apes don't do, and that is dowsing. Finding remote water, remote targets, remote animals for food. Clearly built into us as a survival mechanism. But that's the big thing he's been hiding from you. And that's why other atheists, what would you call them, evolutionists, forever telling you you're a piece of meat, are in PSYCOP, the Peak Skeptics organisation. Richard Dawkins is always flogging the idea that you're just an ape, you're just an ape, you're just an ape, that's all you are. But I don't think it's ever been observed that apes use divining sticks, divining rods, divining pendulums to find food, water or any targets. Makes us distinctly different from the apes and all the other animals, doesn't it? And that's what you're never supposed to know. It's a big secret that Randi's been trying to hide, and Dawkins has been trying to hide for the last 40 years. If you persist in experimenting with the rods, you can find lost objects at home or objects placed out of sight by assistants, friends working with you. You can also dowse maps. No animal anywhere in the animal kingdom can dowse maps and find things, and that was also scientifically proven in the landmark study by the German government. So gorillas don't do it, chimpanzees don't do it, baboons don't do it, lions don't do it, elephants don't do it. So we are distinctly different from animals being able to dowse maps, as well as walking onto the land, the geography itself, and finding water and targets like animals for food using a dowsing technique. So a major difference that you need to know, which makes a huge difference to your personal life. James Randi wanted to keep that from you, and his vociferous denunciations of dowsing for the last 40 years has succeeded in leading you into a very bleak, black and white, skeletal half-life. To me, it's cruelty. It's a war against humanity. It's a war against your personal happiness. His motivation is purely materialistic, to make money for big corporations, so you obediently spend, spend, spend. Now, hands up all the pseudo-skeptics, all the followers of James Randi who think that the German government should now get on their knees and go to James Randi and contest the $1 million prize. Well, governments don't generally get on their knees and go to magicians. Another problem is that the $1 million prize has been gone over very carefully by a Supreme Court lawyer, Victor Zammit, and he points out that the $1 million prize contract contains no less than 10 breaches of contract law, meaning it is not a contract at all recognised with any legal standing. So the $1 million prize is another fraud that everyone has fallen for. A lot of people have fallen for. Even Richard Dawkins has told him to pay out, and he's one of his cohorts on the same psychop organisation, the Peak Skeptic organisation. Richard Dawkins has told him to pay out because he believes in the perinormal. But nevertheless, James Randi got through to you, didn't he? You adopted him as a father figure or something, a father supplement, because you're maybe a little bit father deficient. That's okay. People do the same thing with Elvis Presley. It's okay. But when you find out what Randy's really been doing to you, preventing you from waking up to the fact that you are not an animal, that is cruelty beyond belief, inflicted by someone that you love and clearly doesn't love you back. I think I've said enough here. I'd like you to start thinking by yourself, look up a few books and have a bash at dowsing with a pendulum, with rods, bits of wood and whatever.